Okay, hi everyone, this is SmithyQ, SmithyQ.com, back with a new video analysis. So, Happy New Year everyone, and as part of one of my New Year's resolutions as far as chess goes, I'm going to be trying to play at least one long time control game, so at least 15 minutes, plus 15-second increment, here on Live Chess, and then I'm going to analyze it. So I'm going to try and play at least one game a week, and put up a video. I might play more, but at the very least, one game a week. This one was quite interesting. This is a, let's just jump right into it. So I was white, and we played the French. Frig. So the French is probably my least favorite opening ever. Yeah, it's a silly opening, really. Leads to block positions, which are terrible. I find when I play it as white, against it as white, I get block positions in which you can't do anything. If I play it as black, I just lose. So, there it is. In my blitz games, and honestly, for the longest time, I played the exchange variation, but with c4, which is a fun way of playing this position, because all of a sudden we're going to get an isolated pawn. Sooner or later, black is going to take here, and when we recapture, this position is closer to a Queen's Gambit accepted than a French. In fact, if I back up, if we were to play a Queen's Gambit with the e3 line, and then one of the main lines is e5, we reach the exact same position. And I've had a lot of success with this. This is a lot of fun, but honestly, it's if black doesn't take right away, it's a fun variation. It's probably not a very good one. Let's put it that way. So I ended up playing knight d2, the Tarrasch variation. My opponent responded with knight c6. Now, the advantage of knight d2 is it's supposed to keep the game rather positional, or perhaps more accurately, white tries to keep the game more in control. For example, in the knight c3 lines, there are some very aggressive attempts from black. For instance, there's the winnower, which is just a crazy opening. There are the McCrutchen variation, which is almost the same, the various lines of the Steins, and they lead to block positions, but it's a struggle. And honestly, I've never had much success with them. So with knight d2, we try and stop black from having those types of moves, and white tries to, I guess you could say white's less ambitious, but he's giving black less to work with as well. That's the idea, at least. I don't really know this opening very well. I played it about twice in my life, but I thought I'd give it a shot against someone rated almost 200 points higher than me. Why not? Then he played knight c6, which is kind of a funny sideline. And the idea is, if after knight f3, knight f6, e5, knight d7, pretty standard, is that if white were to do regular moves, bishop d3, well, black is going to play along the lines of f6. Then after, if we were to take, let's say, castle, bishop d6, and you can see how every black piece is there to get e5 in. And if black gets e5 in, okay, white plays a nothing move, and, we can get e5, then in general, black is doing very, very well. He's threatening e4, all of his pieces are going to attack. He has an open f-file once he castles. Not that playing e5 right now is the best move, but in general, if black can get that, he got it in safely, he's got a great position. And, white's opening has failed, right? Because again, the idea of the Tarrasch variation is you want to keep things under control. And if black is able to expand in the center and attack your king, things are not under control. And so the main line is knight b3, and after f6 to play bishop b5. This is indirectly supporting the e5 pawn. For example, if black were to take, we could simply recapture, and he can't actually take with either knight, it doesn't matter, because we can simply recapture and the knight's pinned. Whoops. That's the advantage of this bishop b5 move. And so we're indirectly controlling e5. At any point, I could take on c6, mess up his pawn structure, and white should get a pleasant position. Should. Bishop e7. So we both just develop, castle, castle. And now here, the computer says I need to take on f6. We can see, in a second, I ended up playing rook e1, and he played f5. The computer's not in love with that move, but But by doing this, we can see how now the center is completely blocked, and play will have to be on the wing. And any advantage that I have in the center, I do have more space in the center, I arguably have more control of the center, is gone with the center so blocked. And so the computer suggested that I simply take here, and after knight takes f6, we've got a pretty standard position. But look, black has got a terribly weak pawn. That happens to be on an open file. We've got a lovely square for our knight to come in. We're ready at any point to exchange, and then it's going to be a good knight versus a terrible bishop. And honestly, these are the type of positions, in general, I play very, very well. Okay, everyone plays really well when they have a strategically advantageous position. But in particular, good knight versus bad bishop is one of my, I don't want to say specialties, I'm not a professional player, but, you know, it's my specialty. So this is a chance for me to do it. I didn't want to do that because one of my big problems in this game was that I was very reluctant to change the structure of the position. I essentially waited for my opponent to do everything, and he slowly took over the game. Well, let's take a look. After rook e1, which is a natural move, but then after f5, it's the center is blocked. Okay. Now here I made a move that I thought was the best move in the position. I thought it was the only move. c4. Like, how can you not play c4? Imagine he were to take. Well, there's going to be a pawn exchange at some point. My bishop has a beautiful diagonal. This pawn is weak. Maybe we can get knight g5 in at some point. Our d5 pawn can move. It's just, how can this be wrong? And the reason for this is, in this position, right now, there are precious few squares for any of black's pieces. Good ones, at least. The only sort of kind of good square would be c4. So if he could get his knight to c4, that'd be okay. But at any point, I could exchange it, or I could play knight d2 and exchange it, or play knight d2 and then play b3 and push it away. And so it's not one of those like really good squares, the way e5 was before. When I play c4, and after knight b6, take, now he does have a good square for his knight. And that gives him, now that his knight isn't over here, that gives him the square for the bishop, and he's got a bit more breathing room. This knight is a thorn in my side for the rest of the game. That said, things are okay for me here. Or they could have been. I ended up playing bishop e3. And after bishop d7, the game is completely equal. And again, I was so reluctant to change the nature of the position. Bishop takes c6 is right here. Recapture. And it's a pretty obvious move. I was reluctant to do this because this gave him this diagonal for his bishop. Maybe he could do something like this and pretend to get an attack going. But, you know, when I'm playing the game, that seemed a little bit scary. But when you're looking it over here, it doesn't look scary at all. He simply has a huge weakness, and I'm ready to throw a knight on c5, get my queen to c2, bishop can go to d2, rook will go to c1, and I'm just going to pressure the queen side, and he has, like, honestly nothing on the king side. This might have been me being scared of fighting a higher-rated player, is I didn't want to give him the two bishops. But again, neither of the bishops are very, very good. This bishop, I mean, even on a6, the diagonal is completely empty. There's no threats associated with that diagonal. Whereas if I can plant a knight on c5, you know, something like this, or a piece on c5, like, things are just going to be great. I'm going to grind him down. So my big mistake in this game, besides the tactical mistake I made later, is I was unwilling to change the nature of the position, the structure. This is a very big difference. It's he has two bishops, he has a weakened structure, right? I had a chance to do that, but I didn't do that, because that's a mistake. Right? I need to grasp it. Yeah, it's a tough decision to make, giving up the bishops. That is a really good bishop, right? This bishop is awesome. His light squares are kind of weak. I want to keep that bishop. But if I can weaken his position even more, I should. As it is, I developed. He played bishop d7, and then here I played a3, which turned out to be a move I really didn't want to play. It seems natural enough. I want to keep a piece off of b4, because he has 3 pieces that might go there, and that's keeping him cramped. That makes some sense. The problem with that is it gives him a really good square. And we'll see this in a second. And it's an unnecessary pawn move. It's weakening. What I needed to do is, well, the computer suggests, at least, that putting the bishop on d2, like a few moves ago, was the best move, and I should have kept doing that, right? So bishop e3 was A, a mistake, because I should have taken, and B, the bishop's better on d2. And so the computer thinks the best move is to move the bishop right back. Anyway, after a3, he retreats. I move my bishop back. No point, I didn't want to exchange his bad bishop for my good bishop. Then he played b6. So now he's really fighting this this knight. Now my knight, in fact, it's really hard for it to go anywhere. Even if it goes to d2, okay, maybe it can go to c4, but then what then? Not a heck of a lot. And my bishop wants to be on c4. So, I brought my rook over to the open file, and then this bishop a4 move, I completely missed it. This shows me, again, I have very little experience in this opening, in the French, with knights on b3. And so when I played a3, I never imagined that the weakness of this diagonal would hurt me. I don't think I've ever seen a pin like this. Certainly not in any of my games. And I reacted rather badly to this, right? You can see him slowly outplaying me from this next little bit. As I drop my bishop back to break the pin, he develops a piece. What the heck do I do? I thought for like 3 minutes here without coming to a firm conclusion. I ended up playing queen d2, which is this close to being a huge mistake. Huge mistake. The question is, does f4 work? Because now my bishop's trapped. Fortunately, I have queen d3. And I'm not going to lie, I only saw this after I played the move, so I kind of got lucky. When I was going back here, I was really thinking, do I play queen d2? Do I play queen d3? I felt like I had to get the queen out. So that way, my piece could move, because I'm really, really tangled right now. Black is cramped, but so am I. It's really hard to do anything. If he were to have played f4 and then queen d3, this is okay, because now all of a sudden my bishop is alive, I've got a great diagonal. And the pawn's not on e4, and so eventually I can get a knight to the e4 square. He has to do something about mate, so he'll play g6, I'll drop the bishop back, I'll move this bishop probably to c3, then I'll get a knight to e4, and now my pieces start moving. So it was a blunder that worked out for me, I guess. He ended up playing rook c8. But now the whole reason behind queen d2 is I want to exchange pieces. So I played bishop g5, because my bishop was useless on e3. It's just a terrible bishop. Again, my pawn, whoops, not that's his knight. My pawns are on dark squares. Almost all my pawns, in fact, are on dark squares. And so my bishop is a bad bishop. His is a relatively good bishop, and so let's exchange it. That's exactly what happens. He takes, I takes, attacking e6. And he played queen e7. And then I had a burst of inspiration here. I hunkered down. What do I do from here? And then I found a move I'm rather proud of. Knight a5. Whoa, what's that? So the idea, this bishop is undefended. Because I've been thinking, how do I get rid of that bishop this entire time? What can I do? Well now, if he takes my bishop, let's back up a second. As long as my queen is on d1, if I were to try to move my knight somewhere, he could take it, and I don't have a chance to move the knight because my queen's attacked. Right? So I have to recapture, then he wins my knight. That's not very good. Here, if he takes my bishop, it's not attacking my queen. My queen is safe. That gives me a chance to move my knight to c6. He has to move his queen somewhere. I'm going to recapture, probably with the queen, and I've got pressure here. This knight is now amazing. This knight's okay. It'll probably be chased back with h6. Let's just put it on the board, actually. But we can see this position is much better for white now. It's not winning, but I've turned my cramped, ugly position into something that's great. If I can find a way to exchange that knight for this knight, black just has to sit there and let me come at him. Even now, I'm threatening potentially to get, queen a5 or b5, try and pressure the queen side. try and get him. It's a pleasant position. He chose the other way. He took my knight, and then I took his bishop. And so I was managed to exchange my crappy knight, which was doing nothing and just being there, was just being pinned, for his annoying bishop. So now I have the bishop. My bishop is great. He played h6, kicked my knight back, that's fine. Then he played c5, which is a mistake, because I can simply win a pawn. And this is where my opponent, he realized he completely missed that move, right? The knight a5 idea, which I barely found it myself, right? Again, it was a burst of inspiration. I didn't plan that in advance. And so now he's trying to get active. He's trying to create active counterplay. Because again, if he just sits there, if he waits and lets me, get my rook in here and get my other rook over, he's going to be, yuck. That's going to be terrible for him. And so he tries to get active, which makes sense, practically. But after take, I'm up a pawn. And he's got a really weak pawn here. And it's a passed pawn. And holy cow, I think I'm going to beat someone rated almost 150 points higher than me. Yay! Right? And I should have. And if this were a correspondence game, I would have taken the whole point home. But you have to give full credit. The one thing the higher rated players do is they fight back. They don't make things easy for you. And, he plays queen b5, and he played these moves very quickly, and he was ahead on time at this point. He attacks my pawn, but I play knight d4. Now, if he were to take the pawn, I'm going to take on e6 with a fork, and I win the game. That makes me really happy. Whoops. See, I win the game. It gets reset. Let's find that spot again. 4. He goes back. c6. Passed pawns need to be pushed. He blocks with the knight. And here I start drifting. I'm unable to fully figure out what the best plan is. What's the best plan? So says the computer. The computer wants to start with a4, fully securing this square. I could plant a knight there and try and, because again, if my knight comes here, I can exchange his knight. My pawn can get pushing, right? I want to put my queen eventually on c3, probably get the rook to either c1 or d1. On d1, maybe it can go all the way down to d7, and again, push the pawn. That makes sense, right? Push the pawn. I ended up just playing c1, which is fine, but a bit less accurate. He pins me. I move my queen out of the way. He plays queen b6. And how do I break through? I have to make his knight move. But how? How do I attack it? There are no other good pawn breaks. Don't want to start playing things like b5 or anything like that, because that would exchange off his weak pawn. I can't move my queen off the diagonal because he's attacking this pawn. So that's not good. I want to keep my rook behind the pawn, but as long as it's blocked, what do I do? I played knight e2, moving my knight out of the way. Oh, also, my knight's attacked twice. And I won't lie, it took me about 2 minutes to realize that my knight was actually attacked. Oh, mercy. So, I brought my knight back. He played queen b5, attacking it again. And now, here is where knight e2 is a fine move if I had to follow up with knight f4. Attacking the pawn. g5. And I didn't see a good move here. Even though, if I can't go to either of these squares, h3 is a terrible square, but there's this square, which I didn't see. And then I'm ready to come into f6, and all of a sudden my knight has become really, really freaking good. And it's controlling some really key squares there. Things are going to be nice. That would have been the right idea. I instead played king f1, walking into a pin. Ugh. He brings his knight in. And then I completely miscalculate this. I push. He can't take my queen, of course, because I take I get a new queen with check, and his knight's hanging. So he goes over here. I retreated my queen. Whoops, can I get that on the board? And he took the pawn. And I did not see that at all. Not at all. And so what actually happened here, what's really interesting, maybe it's not that interesting, for me, right, is that I played really well at the beginning. The longer the game went on, the shorter my time got, the worse I played. Now, that's true for everyone, but it's really true here. And what I really mean is that my thinking completely changed. Going from variations and whatever, I became scared, reactive. I was barely looking 2 moves ahead. I couldn't see threats. I couldn't see that putting my pawn there, this knight attacks. I didn't see that at all. Complete chess blindness. I mean, it's obvious as day now, but at the time it wasn't. Interesting, right? This is showing a competitive side of chess beside the correspondence that I need to get better at, that I need to be cognizant of. Anyway, so after, even here, there's a chance for me to save the game had I played, queen c6. Because, if he takes, that's great. And if he takes with the rook, well, I take his queens, that's not very good. If he takes with the knight, well, he can still take his queen because of that. So that's quite happy. But what happens now is that my opponent doesn't let up. And I just flounder about, basically. He does an excellent job of provoking weaknesses in me and then capitalizing on them. So I move my queen, he exchanges rooks, and then he moves his king away, getting out of any potential queen checks and then picking up the pawn. And we can actually see a huge difference in the king's safety. I ended up playing king e1. I don't know if that's the best move. But I figured, okay, his king is stuck in the corner, my king's over here. If I can manage to exchange queens, my king will be more active. He's not going to let me do that, though. He ended up playing queen b8. Look at this. It provokes f4. They can play queen b6. What does f4 do? Well, now my knight can't go to f4, and now this diagonal is wide open. If my knight ever moves, he's going to come in with check, boom, boom, so my knight is pinned down here. I play g3 just to reinforce f4 some more. He brings his knight in. Look how scary this is. It's funny, the computer objectively says none of this is very good, that black has no real threats, but optically, it sure looks like it. And this is where a better player outplays a weaker player, and in this game, that's what I was. He also had 6 minutes left to my, 1 minute 30, and again, I'm pretty much panicking the entire time. I play queen c3, he plays knight g4, attacking my h-pawn. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I played h3 and I moved it. Uh-oh. Queen f2 with check, backing up. So what should I have done? Queen d4. Offer the exchange of queens. Because if he takes it, he can't... I'm sure he wins this pawn, but I win this pawn, I get to protect a pass pawn. And with his queen off the diagonal, let's say, I don't know, it goes here. Now I play h3. All of a sudden, his knight's forced over here. Now, the computer still said there's nothing here. I mean, there's lots of checks. My king isn't very safe. There's perpetual checks going on eventually. That would have been best. Queen d4. But I wasn't thinking that way. I couldn't find that. I played h3. He comes in with check, which, again, is something I didn't see at all. So I move my king. He goes knight to h2. So then I play, I guess the only move that loses instantly. Again, black is doing much better now. Again, my king's on the run, but I play king e3, which just walks into the fork, and that's game. And so there's really, let's see, 2 lessons from this game. Okay, and there's some other lessons. I shouldn't be scared of someone that was higher rated than me, right? Rating is just a number. What if he was rated for, play good moves and you're fine, right? And so, arguably, I was influenced by my opponent's rating. For example, if my opponent were lower rated, I'd probably play my other French system against him. The exchange variation was c4. But, yeah, so don't do that. Come on, Smithy. Anyway, the two most important is first, is that I was so unwilling to change the nature of the position, either by taking on f6 and securing a weak square there, or later in the game, I had an opportunity. Whoops, before then, before I played, yeah, right here. No, yeah, before c4, I had a chance to exchange. You know, give him a terrible weakness. Actually, it's even later, right? Where is it? Yeah, right here. I had an opportunity to, again, change the nature of the position, giving up bishops in terms of a better structure. And I didn't do that. And it's not just I didn't do that, is I was very reluctant to even think about it. I didn't analyze the lines in depth. I just went, I don't know. Like, that's a pretty big weakness. Now, was that because my opponent was higher rated? Was it because the time was ticking? I didn't think I had enough time to evaluate? I didn't trust myself? I'm not sure. But there's a weakness here that I need to take over, essentially. This eighth playing... whoops, this is a computer line. This a3 move. Terrible weakness, right? Be very careful, Smithy, especially if there is a potential bishop knight threats down over here. And then, my inability to capitalize at the end. Was that because my opponent was higher rated? I was scared of counterplay? Was it because I rushed? Was it because I got so into time pressure I just couldn't think properly? Again, I don't know. These are thinking problems. Again, most of this isn't so much chess, right? Where I couldn't find the right move, or I was trying. This is a me problem, something that I need to be aware of. Because I'm aware of it, I can then change that. I can think the next time. All right, don't worry. Don't look at hide the ratings, right? Don't look at the ratings. Do something like that. Just play good moves, right? Don't get scared. Calculate, right? Does the counterplay look, scary? Well, calculate variations. Find out. If there are no good variations, then play it. Don't be scared. So that's that. So again, this should become a weekly feature. I'm going to try at least. I mean, for 2019. Play some long games and see what happens. So if you like that, if you found that interesting, let me know. I'm going to put the written analysis on my blog in a couple of days, once that's there, so you can take a look at that. Again, that's SmithyQ.com. So that's it. Any questions, comments, leave them below. And if you want me to make a video on, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.